everyone. I know it's been a long time since my last video, and that's because I was off from school, been doing a lot of work, but now I've started my second part of Old Testament, and this is the first video blog, so hopefully it will go well. My roommates are in the room, and I feel self-conscious, but oh well. Today we started in, looking at my notebook, 1 Kings, and this is specifically in chapter 18, verses 17 through 40. And you may or may not know, my other roommate, everyone's here now, that this is, oh, I didn't know it was locked. Thanks, Olive. That this is the story of Elijah, and where he's pretty rockin'. It's one of my favorite stories, and I'm going to get into why later on. But first off, when Elijah is speaking to the people, he asks them a question, and that question is, how long halt he between two options? And this is, he's saying they're choosing, they need to either choose God or the God of, I'm going to try and, Baal, B-A-A-L, and I guess it's kind of like the Egyptians' idols things. And, the people didn't realize this, and you can tell because they're completely silent after he asks this question. And if you know what you're doing is wrong, you kind of freak out and you're like, no, that's not how it is. You try to, talk your way out of it, but if you realize that what you're doing is wrong and you didn't know before, you kind of just quiet and you're not gonna answer back to that. But there's many scriptures that tie into this. The first one is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. And this is Jesus doing the Sermon on the Mount. So he's talking to a lot of different people, and he's talking about prayer and how if you pray out in the public, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Gift, your blessing, there we go. Your blessing is the praise you get from the people, which is not how it works. But when you pray in secret, and it's only for God to hear, He will give you blessings that will be seen. So you need to choose if you want praise from people or praise from God. The second one is Alma chapter 5, 39 through 42. And this is Joshua talking to the people of Israel. And he's asking them, choose whom you will serve this day. And same thing, are you going to choose your God, or are you going to go off and do that? So the last one is, oh, I just messed that up. It was Alma talking to Zarahemla. And so I got that mixed up. The Joshua one is obviously in Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. Let's choose whom you will serve. Alma chapter 5, 39 through 42 is Alma talking to Zarahemla, and who is your shepherd? And knowing that when something is good, that is God. When something is bad, that is Satan. Really easy. You need to make that decision. If you can't figure out which one's the good one, then you look at what they do. This is kind of like if you have two paths, and one's going this way, and the other one's going this way. And if you try to put one leg on each path and try to walk forward, each step, it gets harder and harder to do so. And so eventually you fall. So you need to choose one path or the other. You cannot sit on the fence. Okay. Elijah proposed a contest to the other priests, and this was to make a sacrifice with no fire. So not to light the fire themselves, but to ask their God to do it. And why I like the story so much is he's like, go to Mount Carmel. And my family goes to a small town every year for their family reunion, and it's called Mount Carmel. It's from the scripture, and I love, like, I'm like, look, it's my town in the scriptures. And it's right over by Zion, and so I was like, yes, connection. But there were 450 priests of Baal, and that is quite a number compared to one prophet, Elijah. And the priests of Baal are asking for their God to light the fire and take the sacrifice. And they do this from the morning until the afternoon. And they're like crazy. They're like cutting themselves, crying out. And I think that's so odd. But that's just what they did. I don't know why you would. But this was the righteous motive for Elijah to do, to create this contest, because it was for the people to know who was God, to understand who is the true God. Because it's really funny how Elijah handles this, because he kind of mocks them. He goes, maybe you should wake up your God. Is he asleep? Because nothing's happening. And there's not many prophets who do that in the scriptures, so it's pretty funny. And right after, because it just goes boom, and he also like had them pour water on his sacrifice, so it's completely drenched, and it all gets consumed, nothing's left, and the people know immediately that it is the true God, and they bow down, and they start crying out for themselves. And he kills all the priests of Baal, so that's the part where I'm like, oh, you're gonna go from everything to be okay to like killing all the priests, but things are different back then. And that's all the questions from this assignment. But in the rest of the story, you know, he does some pretty cool things, and they try to kill him like always. It's just how people react to finding out they're wrong. But we'll see what the lesson is next week, and continue to read your scriptures, and we should be in, let's see, Second Kings, since this is the whole First Kings. Alright, bye.